What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Positive Philly Interviews. It's been a while since I sat down and did an interview like this, but it's a new year. We are back, and we got a lot of big things coming this year, and we are starting off the new year with an interview. Please welcome country music superstar Holdyn Barder.
I don't know about superstar, Michael, but thank you so much for the hype, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's an honor to talk to you today. I love country music. I love the Birds. So you have the greatest song in Philadelphia country music hits are coming out next week.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, that's so cool, man. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me. I'm glad to know that you're a Birds fan and you like country music. I always tell people, I'm like, there are Eagle, Philly country folks that like country music, and it's crazy, man. You wouldn't expect it, but I know it's true.
We're going to talk a little bit about the Birds today, of course, and how you got your start in the country music career. So that's the first question. How did you get your start in the country music genre?
Yeah, man. Oh, wow. So this actually goes back 25 years. I was born in Houston. Only lived that my parents were there for business. Only lived there for like a year or two. I was like this big. And but my whole family's from Philly originally. They're from Northeast Philly and Holmesburg. Um, and my parents came back to the Philadelphia area. I was born in raised in Bucks County. But when I was a little kid in Texas, my dad and my mom would play, Garth or George Strait or whoever in the back seat, and I'd be listening as a little baby. And I kind of always, I remember Lone Star, I'm Already There. That's a great song, man. Like I would cry to that song. Like I had all these songs that I would just listen to as a little kid. And it wasn't until maybe high school. I went to George School in Newtown, PA, until I started kind of remembering all those songs. I heard one of them. I heard like a Diamond Rio song or something. I was like, I have not heard that in 20 years. That thing was so like throwback to me. And so I started basically getting into country music. And right before high school, I want to say 2013, spring 2013, so I played tennis my whole life, and I love playing tennis. I miss it. I need to get back at it. And on my tennis bag during a match with a friend of mine, you won't believe this, literally on the tennis bag was a blue guitar-shaped paperclip. And you know how they make those like paper clips? They shape them into different things and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was a guitar. It was blue, and it was on my tennis bag. And I saw it after my match was done. So I was like, how the heck did that get on the bag? There's no way that could have gotten on the bag. And I kind of took it as like a sign. My best friend at the time was starting to play guitar, and I took it as a sign from the universe to, try to start playing guitar, man. And then I did. It was kind of a hobby for a couple of years until my junior year of high school. I started, playing in a little band. I started doing all that. And then I went to college at Lafayette in Easton for 2 years. And then I started posting online. I had a crazy ex-girlfriend who claimed to be my manager, but she helped for the first couple of weeks. But, I started posting videos on YouTube and Instagram, and people were like, oh, I kind of dig this. And I think the first video I posted got like 2,000 views in like an hour. And I was like, all right, maybe I could do something with this. And so that's kind of how my love for country started. I've always loved songwriting. I've always loved, music itself, but I wasn't really musical, until maybe like midway of my junior year of high school. It was always in the back of my mind as something I thought about doing, but I never really thought that I would be doing music at all until, I started posting. And, I hadn't touched a guitar until I was like 15. So it's been crazy, but that's a little bit about how I kind of fell into country music. And yeah, man.
I think we got some of your people in the chat. I don't know if you know this person, but they say, good morning, Holdyn. 1 week till Go Birds drops next week. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Caitlin? That's awesome.
Caitlin,
yeah, that's so cool.
Who was your inspiration to start your country music career? Was it a specific artist, your family? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think my inspiration, so that's kind of how I started, but the way I kind of get inspired is like, I'll go to concerts as a fan, right? You'll go to concerts as a fan, and you kind of just sit there and you're just like, man, this is freaking awesome. And the thought occurred to me, I want to be that guy giving these people a good time. And I want to be the guy on stage that can sit there or stand there and run around and for 3 hours of someone's night, just have them forget about life and all the problems and just live in the moment, because that's what life's about, man. And, I enjoy being the guy who can do that for someone, because, I've had music touch me. I've seen music save lives. I've seen music impact people in ways that not even a doctor can. And, music to me is like the one language that we all understand. I truly believe that. And, to create the soundtracks for people's lives is a really, really cool feeling. And so I get inspired by the fans like Caitlin in the comments, who always show up, who are always supporting me, who tell me daily, I love your music. Your music is awesome. Thank you for putting this out. It's helped me. And to know that my music is making an impact on somebody, is really huge. And that's a win in my book. It doesn't matter the scale I do it at. If I'm helping people, whether it be a simple fun song that just gets somebody out of the moment for a second, or something a little deeper, I'm doing my job as an artist and as a human, in my opinion. I think that's kind of my inspiration is you know being able to take people out of the present moment, or take people out of their thoughts and bring them to the present moment, and realize that no, life is too short. Let's have a good time. Let's have fun. Life is easy, and it doesn't have to be all crazy as we make it. And I truly believe that and embody that. And with Go Birds, that's like
The Philly catchphrase, like,
yeah, man, it's like a similar thing. It's like, one, it throws shade that Dallas too. I had to do that, but it kind of captures my love for music, and it captures, kind of the essence of who I am and where we're from, So, but that's a little bit about where I get my inspiration, and and of course the Philly sports teams. I get inspiration from watching the Eagles play. I get from the Phillies play. These guys, they leave it all out on the field. And, I know there's a lot of critics and stuff to talk about the Eagles and, all the teams and all, but Philly's probably the worst town, for that. But it's like, these guys really truly find a way to pull it off. And, I think that, growing up in that culture too, you're from the area. So, watching these guys, all the time and come back. And it was rough for a couple of years, but it's nice to have a few teams now that are doing well, making it to the championship rounds. And I think that's inspiring too. The way, like you think of last summer with Trey Turner, when he was so bad the first couple months, and then, they all stood up and clapped for him, at the bank, and he came to life the rest of the season, and they made it all the way to the championship or the NLCS. So it's like, you never know. And, that's the kind of city this city is. And so, that inspires me too. So there's a lot of influences that I think of with this question, but that's a little bit about, hopefully I touched kind of
of course.
all the.
TikTok's a big part too. I follow a lot of up and coming country artists on TikTok, you being one of them, and that's a lot how they get their start too.
Yeah, man. TikTok, I'll tell you, TikTok, there was a winner, I think 2 winters ago, right when COVID was kind of starting to end, but wasn't yet. Like people were still kind of inside, but like not really. There was this one winter, not this past winter, but 2021, where I just went ham. I don't know why. I just got the bug to do it. I was posting 8 a day on TikTok, and I think I went from like 50,000 fans to 200,000 fans in 2 weeks. And it was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. And I don't know if I'll ever do that again because it really got to me mentally. Just like, oh, hey, you got to eat lunch. Don't forget to eat lunch. Don't forget to eat dinner. But no, TikTok definitely, is a great platform to promote yourself as an artist. All these things, man, are so cool and have had an impact on me. So,
Of course. I do have some Eagles questions, but I want to get to know you as an artist, get people to know you as an artist. If you like to collaborate with / open up for at a concert, that was a cool question to ask.
That's a cool question, dude. I've always been a big Luke Bryan fan. I love kind of his brand and who he is as a person, all the the struggles he's gone through, personally, and be able to channel that through his music. I've always looked up to Luke in that aspect, and sonically as well. Um, Definitely Luke or Dirks Bentley. I had a chance to meet Dirks a couple years ago before I moved to Nashville, and he encouraged me to move down here. And so definitely those two guys would be awesome. I, I'm at the point where, put me in front of a crowd, let's put on a show. I don't care who I'm with, but it would be bittersweet to be with Dirks or Luke or, anyone really, anybody I've listened to my entire life or look up to as a role model. Blake Shelton would be cool. Um, It'd be cool to be out with a non-country artist, maybe somebody from the area, like a Bon Jovi or like a Bruce Springsteen. That'd be pretty cool, man. But definitely, I would say Luke Combs would be great. I'm not picky. I'm really,
I'm at the link.
but it'd be cool, man. It'd be awesome. And there's a few songs. I have a song, "How Do I Get There," from her, that Sam Hunt wrote with my friend Jason a couple years ago. I don't know if you listened to it yet, but it's a great one. It's kind of like about a breakup, and how do I get there from her? It's like here, but play on words, and so it's kind of about that. And so Sam would be a great partner. I've kind of done stuff that he's done, and so like it's so funny being in Nashville because you'll meet so many friends who become super close to you as songwriters, and they're like, "Hey man, yeah, I wrote this with Keith Urban years ago," and you're like, it's just that's just how Nashville is, but we're all people at the end of the day, and that's what I love it, man. Like at the end of the day, we're just people that love music and people that want to we all want to be a part of something bigger, right? We want to be a part of like something magical. That's why with this song "Go Birds," dude, like I'm having the most fun watching the comments and seeing all the hate from Dallas, but two, seeing all the Eagles fans coming together, dude. And I really think this thing could do something for the Eagles in the Super Bowl and the playoff. I don't know, man, but I love seeing all that. So, if I could be with an artist that kind of helped me visualize, that for me and what I want to do and who I look up to, Luke Bryan, definitely. Even Taylor Swift. I mean, I know she's from the area. She grew up a couple houses down from me in Stone Harbor before she moved to Nashville years ago. And, I was just too young to ever cross paths. But my cousin, my uncle, my old boss, I think used to babysit her. And my cousin used to wash dishes, and she would play in this little coffee shop in Stone Harbor, and she would play guitar, and he'd be in the back washing the dishes. And so we have so many mutual things. She'd be a great artist to tour with too. But yeah, man, it's all the above. I just want to do music and put on a great show and connect with fans. That's all that matters to me.
So before I know you kind of already said it earlier, but before we talk about this one, I feel like we need to ask you this question.
How did I become an Eagles fan? Well,
how did you become an Eagles fan living in Houston?
Well, so I moved back so my whole family's from Philly originally. They were just there for work, and I just happened to I popped out in Houston. But they're all from Philly, so I think it would be a sin if I wasn't an Eagles fan. I have two people in my family. My little cousin Santino, who's a Seahawks fan, who I don't know why, and then my uncle Nicky D is a Titans fan, which don't ask me why. I don't know how they got that bug in them, but they're the only ones. Everybody else is an Eagles fan. But I remember as a kid, I was too young to even be a fan of Houston or anything to even know. But when I came back to Pennsylvania, I was like 3 or 4, in preschool. And I remember this VHS tape that I think obviously my mom or dad got for me. I couldn't get it myself. But it was it was a documentary about the Eagles in 2004 when they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl and lost. And or was it 2004? I think it was 2004. I don't whatever the one they went and they lost. It was McNabb and Brady. It was one of Brady's first years.
Before.
Yeah, 2004. And it was a whole documentary about the team. And and then I watched that movie about Vince Papale, right? And yeah, So, those two things, I don't know what that I got to find that documentary, but I always loved that, man. And like looking up to, I'd play catch with my dad in the side yard, and so like I just love the culture of it. And, I kind of just fell in love with the Eagles. And since, I was growing up, like, I mean, one, I'm from the area, but two, it's like, that's who I am, and I don't know. I never really thought about that. So that's a cool question. I've never been asked that before.
I
So
was born into it. I'm from the area, and my parents and family grew up liking Philly sports, so I kind of just fell into it as.
Yeah, how about you? You fell into it too?
Yep. Now, I think what everybody wants to know, I want to know, what gave you the idea to write a country song about the Eagles?
Well, dude, one, I love the Eagles, so I knew I had to do something. I've had the idea to write one for a long time. I think it came from the thought of, so I wrote a song called Stone Harbor, and it's about the little beach town, you know where Stone Harbor is, in New Jersey, next to Wildwood, that I've spent summers going to in addition to Wildwood. And that did so well. And I really loved how I didn't expect that thing to do anything. And I woke up one day, the Friday after it came out, and my Uncle Nick woke me up and he's like, dude, you're on the news, come out in the living room. And I literally woke up at the beach, went to the living room, and there it was, the music video on the TV. And I was like, what the heck? Like, you don't expect that. So it was so cool. And then Bob Kelly, I love Bob from Fox 29, came down to Stone Harbor. We did a whole entire in-person live stream on TV playing it outside Uncle Bill's. And so to see the town and the whole South Jersey area kind of start to, or whoever it hit, start to love that, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, it's so cool seeing people where you're from come around something like sports or like a song or something like that. It's just great. It's like, and it's invaluable because it's like, you see the reactions people have. It makes people happy. It makes people feel good, right? And I want to make people feel good. That's my job as an artist, right? Is to make people feel good and have a good time. And I knew when I did that, I was like, wow, me sharing my story about where I'm from is impacting other people. What if I wrote a song about Philly? Let's think bigger. Let's go bigger with, the entire region. And so I sat down, I was like, if I'm going to do this thing, one, it's got to be catchy, but two, it's got to have a cool story. It has to have a cool hook and angle, and it can't be cheesy, and it can't, so I had to do it right. And it took me like 3 months to write it. My mom pitched in a couple ideas here and there, and so did my buddy Tyler, who produced the acoustic track. But 90% of it, took 3 months for me to do on my phone. In my notes section in my phone. I would travel. I went to Egypt in September for a trip for vacation, which was absurd. It was crazy. It's a side comment. But I would sit there on the plane and just like type away, like, all right, how am I doing this? I'd be on the plane writing it, and wherever I'd be. And so what happened too is like, I would get, a verse in, maybe a verse and a half into a chorus, and then I would stop, and because I hit like a block creatively. And then I would kind of just let it marinate, let it sit. And then I would come back, and then, I would, crank out the rest whenever I felt inspired. Excuse me. So I didn't really force the process. I kind of just let it come to me. And eventually the song was born, and I started putting it together. I was like, how could this sound? And it sounded great. And I always try to think, whatever songs I end up putting out, can I vibe to this as a fan? Can I see myself in the crowd singing this? And that one was an immediate yes. And I was like, all right, I got to do this. I started teasing it around shows and teasing it around fans and stuff online. And they're like, dude, you got to do this thing. And that was before I even shared it, on Instagram, that one reel I think I met you off of. But yeah, man, that's how the song came about. I just want to create something cool. And I had no idea that it was gonna,
So it's not really what it talks about. A girl coming up from Dallas, becoming an Eagles fan. And
it is fiction. Although I will say that it'd be a pretty badass story. In the comment section, though, it isn't my story, but there are over 20 people in the comments who've been like, "This is my wife, man. I go Birds, man." Yeah, it's so cool to see other people's perspectives, they're like, oh my God, this is my theme song, because they must have did that, and so I wanted to create a track that was like, you know, you kind of take a little nudge at Dallas, but also, to where it's still a love song about, a country song at heart, and that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to write a song about, the Eagles, and I wanted it to make it good. Like I wanted it to be a solid song, even if it wasn't about the Eagles. And it just
Yeah.
happened to be the theme. I was like, oh no, she said go Birds. Cause I'm thinking in my head, what would I want, my girl to say? And, I was like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. And, so I came up with that idea and, she said, go Birds, man. And, I mean, think about it. I mean, what other thing could you ask for? I mean, I think that's,
Yeah.
that's the icing on the cake, man. But no, it was a great songwriting process. It was definitely the longest song it took me to write, just because it took me a couple weeks to sit with it, really think it, because I knew it could possibly do something, but it had to be right, um, you know, um, lyrically, story wise. But yeah, man, that's kind of how it came about.
Now, the last question before you kind of talk about the song and shout yourself out a little bit. What are your goals in country music within the year? I think the obvious one would be to have Go Birds be number one on iTunes and Spotify, right?
That would be cool, man. As an artist, I never really, I mean, I'm a big goal oriented person. I'll preface this. I'm a very, like, in the morning, I'll wake up, I'll get my tasks done, I'll do emails. I have a very, regimented routine, that definitely helps me stay sane. Because, in the daytime, I'm doing interviews, I'm doing, talking to fans, I'm making posts, I'm playing shows, right, and songwriting. And so, it's very important for me to have a structural goal set mindset. And so when I think of goals for this year as an artist, you know, I think of I think of, meeting as many fans as possible, right? And inspiring as many people, making people feel good as possible. That's always my goal. Number one is to put the fans first, right? Like Caitlin in the comments there, you saw like you know, you guys are, my lifeline, right? And as an artist, you can't do music without fans. You just can't. You can't play shows. You can't create those awesome experiences and relationships without, taking time to acknowledge and appreciate the people who got you to where you are. So my goal this year is to meet as many more fans as possible. But in addition to artist goals, though, we're about to secure a management deal in town here. So that will definitely open a lot more doorways to the major leagues. I kind of think of music as like, JV and varsity. It's like JV is like kind of all the little independent JV labels and publishing companies and publicists, and then you have the major league, which are like Sony, Warner, uh, you know, a couple independent labels, Universal. So we're slowly starting to transition into, major leagues of the music industry, which I'm very grateful for. So this year I would like to, play a lot of shows. I would like to really get my show count up. A lot of festivals. We played Barefoot last summer in Wildwood, but I would like to play again this year. I'd like to play Tidal Wave. I'd like to do it all, man. I just want to spread my songs, not just Go Birds, but I've got a song after Go Birds that I'm really excited about. That's, very country, very much me, fun party anthem. I've got stuff after that too. I want to put out a project kind of right before summer. So I have a lot of goals, as an artist this year. But the main thing is just connecting with as many fans as possible, meeting you all in person, and playing shows, man. That's where I get my fuel to my fire, is seeing you guys sing Go Birds back to me, right? Like seeing that little bit of, you know, response from fans is just like confirmation. That's like, wow, like this is cool. And to be the artist and knowing that, it's about the song and not about me, is really cool. It's like you're pulling it out of thin air. You're like tapping into, how can I get this collective, energy and, bring it into form and into life. And that's what inspires me, man. So this year, definitely, I think, it's not out of the ballpark to think of a record deal. I think it's definitely not out of the ballpark to think of a publishing deal, a talent agency deal. We're about to secure a management deal that can help with all of that and play shows. And man, it's definitely humbling for sure. Because this is what you dream about, right? So many people move to Nashville and dream of this stuff. But I know that I can't do it without my fans, and I can't do it without anybody. So I want to drop Go Birds. I want to showcase, how awesome Philly is. I want to show off the city. I want to show off where I'm from, and there's not many of us from the area that are in Nashville, artists. I mean, there are a lot of Eagles fans here in Nashville, I got to say, but there's not a lot of artists.
Nashville's on my bucket list of places to travel for sure.
Let me know when you're here, man. Let's meet up or something.
All right.
But
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go on.
I think Go Birds is going to be so big in the Philadelphia area that we're going to have your management or whatever have a concert at the Fillmore or the like a little venue, and you'll perform it for a bunch of Eagles fans.
Dude, I want to be as big as Garth Brooks, man. That's my goal. But it starts with Philly, right? It starts with where you're from and your people and your roots. And if you can't ignite the fire of people around you where you're from, how the hell are you going to do it with the rest of the world? You know what I mean? And that's kind of my whole angle is like, and my whole thought process is like, if I can't get Philly excited about what I'm doing at my own people, how the hell am I going to get the rest of the world excited, especially if they're not Eagles fans, So it's, but I know if, with the city like Philly, I'm hoping this song too, man. I know we wanted to talk about the Birds a little bit. I hope this song, does something, because like you witness it, Philly does best when everybody's kind of behind them, right? The teams do best when there's kind of this momentum with the fans and an expectation of greatness, right? So I think that this might kind of help flip the switch a little bit. So, we'll see what happens, but it's really, really neat.
All right. Before I let you go, we got to let the people know, Go Birds coming out January 12th, next Friday. Where can people find you at social media and wise and, streaming platforms? They want to listen to this song, Go Birds, next week. Where can they find it at?
Yeah, it's going to be on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all your platforms, you normally listen on. It'll be there. I'm dropping it on January 12th, like Michael said. So go pre-save it. If you go to my Instagram, it's at Holdyn Barder Music. There's a link you can click it. You can pre-save it so it saves right to your library when it drops. Man, I'm so excited for this thing. My website's holdynbarder.com. I've got a show tonight, but if you guys want to catch my entire tour schedule, you can go to holdynbarder.com too. All my handles are just my first name, last name, and either that or just music attached. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Thank you. But yeah, it's going to be a great year. And I'm excited to see how many fans are going to stream this thing, dude. I'm not excited. I am excited to see what it does, but I'm more excited to see how Philly responds and how the result of putting this out will impact, the sports culture, impact the city. I just want another ring, dude. I just want another Super Bowl. And, once you get the taste of one, as a city, it feels good. And I don't want Dallas to get it. They won't get it. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1996. So I'm not worried about that. The 49ers look good, though. Ravens look good.
I don't know. I am nervous with the Niners. I think the Ravens are going to go, and we'll see.
I think the downfall started with the Niners, right? So like they started tanking they were tanking a little bit with the Bills too, and they got lucky, right? In the overtime. I was at that game, sitting in the cold, dude. That was painful.
Videos at the game with the Philly sports guy and everything, and
yeah, dude, that was fun, man. But it was like, like they were playing so bad the first 3 quarters, I ended up leaving. And then once I got in the car with my friend Joe, we turned on the radio and we're like, oh, of course, Devontae Smith gets a touchdown. Of course they start scoring and getting a field goal. And then I was like, of course, right when I leave.
Change the season around because of this song.
I hope so, man. I sure hope so. I know the Eagles commented on that one Instagram reel that went viral. They're like playing this on repeat. I know David Akers shared it on his story, which was pretty cool last week.
Once it comes I'm gonna share it on all my platforms. You got a music video coming out too?
So the music video. So here's the thing. I might have a lyric video with it. So this is the acoustic version of the song. So I want to do a full version eventually. And it's going to have so this one's acoustic. So it's got guitars in it, right? It's the same one that I've been teasing on socials, but there's another version that has electric guitars. It's got full stadium feel. And that's going to be the full
thing at the local venue around here.
Yeah. So I'm thinking when I drop that one, I want to do a video with all the fans and the tailgates. I want to get.
I'll come. You got
it. Let's do it.
Tailgate lot and
let's do it, man. But it's got to be during the game, I think, because filming it, because that's going to capture all the feel good essence of Philly, right? And so I'm worried that we won't even have a game coming up, and to mobilize my whole video team. I'm worried that we might not have a home game.
Like you do it in like the spring before the season starts, and you get fans out there,
yeah, or even like in the fall, first game back or something, but that'll be for the full version. So I just kind of want to see how this one does, and if this does well, we will definitely play that full version and put that out. And live though, I'm always playing that full thing with electric guitars, and it's awesome, man. But no, go Birds! This song is great. Excuse me, I can't believe I was the one who got to write it, but I wanted to make something for the city, make something, make people proud. I think there's a lot of hate on Philly. No one likes us. We don't care though. But it's like, people don't like Philly, and that's all right, but I want to show people it's not about the city. It's not about, all the stuff that happens here. It's about, the people. It's about the love. It's about, working hard, that underdog mentality. And, I try to apply that in my music too. And I'm not the standard country music route type of guy that you'd expect, I'm from the Northeast, right? And there's, even though it's one of the largest country markets in the United States for radio, right? It's not the normal path. I'm not from Georgia, from Texas. I am born in Texas, but I wasn't raised in the South, right? So I think what's really neat is, just being able to take where I'm from and apply it to my journey. And, it's not what you would expect, but I think that's an underdog thing. It's like, of course, the guy who isn't from the South, is doing a country song. And so I try to embody that, man.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Go Birds by Holdyn Barder, dropping February 12th. On Spotify, Apple, TikTok, Instagram. Man, I really appreciate you, taking the time to come on and talk to me about it.
Of course.
I know Philadelphia is excited for it. Go Birds.
Go Birds, man. Thanks, Michael. Now, this is going to be great, and I can't wait to see what your reaction is when it drops.
Here's my initial reaction. I'll do a TikTok and tag you.
Awesome, dude. Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on.